Welcome back into that Sean podcast. It is I, the Big Ush. It is he, the Cat Daddy. Oh, what's that? All of a sudden we're getting consistent? No, say it ain't so. We can't do that. Cat Daddy, what's on your mind?
I am excited to talk more about these 2023 prospects.
Is that what it is? It's not Vince McMahon?
Well, no. Well, they bring back Bray Wyatt, so I'll be more excited to talk about that. All right. I think we're trending in the right direction for that, but not until they bring back Bray.
Free Bray. All right. All seriousness, go ahead.
No, we have more offensive players to talk about. We have tight ends this week. We have offensive tackles this week. And then pretty soon we're moving on to that defensive class. So,
which I can't wait.
I know. How do you feel about this year's tight end class compared to last year's at this point?
It's better.
I remember my number one tight end last year was Jalen Weidermeyer, Texas A&M.
Yeah, we were wrong.
Womp womp.
To be fair, everybody was wrong.
You know, I think I did pretty well with the other ones. My number 2 was Jeremy Ruckert to Ohio State. Number 3 was Isaiah Likely, Coastal Carolina. 4, I had Trey McBride, Colorado State. And then number 5, I had Charlie Kohler, Iowa State. Wow. 2 of them got drafted by Baltimore, so Baltimore definitely liked my picks.
Wow, this class is much better.
I think overall this class will be better.
All right, well, you know how I do. Let's jump right into it.
All right.
This week we're going to shake it up a bit. I will give you my number 5 guy. And my number 5 guy, possibly surprisingly, coming out of the University of Georgia, Darnell Washington. Dude is 6'7", 265, has great length, great power. This guy is going to be probably a better blocker coming straight out of college. Also, he's very raw, so he has the skills to develop into a very nice, natural, like Y tight end, inline tight end. He might not be the same as, the Kyle Pitts of the world, but this guy will have a job and he'll do it well.
I do not have Darnell Washington in my top 5.
I think you did.
But he was really close. He was, let me see. He was actually my number 6 guy. Number 6 and number 7, they were very close together. Right behind 5. But he might be one of the best blocking tight ends in this class. And he has good route running and good hands to go along with it. But you're right, he's a little bit raw. He's also fighting for playing time in Georgia where they have...
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So you're telling me that Darnell Washington is not the only Georgia player in your top 5?
Just a tease. We'll get to that.
You can neither confirm nor deny. All right.
He's on one of our lists, possibly.
We'll see. This will be interesting. All right.
Who is your number 5 guy?
My number 5, the University of Utah. I have Brant Kuithe. Now, he may not have the same size as some of the other tight ends in the class. He's listed at 6'2", 230, but he more than makes up for it with his athleticism. So you're not going to expect him to be your traditional tight ends. He's played a lot of his slots either in a lot of his snaps in the slot, or he's split out wide, but he's got the versatility to play some H-back, even some fullback. You'll want him to be your move tight ends. He's got good hands, he's got good straight line speed, but he's also got good speed out of his breaks. And one thing that I want to keep an eye on this year is blocking. He's not the best blocker.
Of course
He's
not.
a little bit on the lighter side, but can he show some improvement in the area? Given his size, I'm not sure how much more strength he's going to be able to add on to aid in that blocking, but can he show some improvement to it?
I just wonder if he reminds you of somebody. Just wondering who was on your list last year.
Huh. Kind of reminds me of Isaiah Likely a little.
No, just a little. Someone who was on your list that wasn't on mine.
Yep. Do you have Brant Keithy in your top 5?
I do not have him on my list. My number 4 is a guy that burst on the scene and basically made a guy that I had in my top 5 last year an afterthought, and actually kind of made him transfer. If that, gives you any idea who I'm talking about. But it's Mr. Cameron Latu out of Alabama. And, this guy quickly became one of Bryce Young's safety valves. He was very comfortable with it. This guy showed a lot more athleticism than I think most people even realized he had, because everybody thought that Jaleel Billingsley was going to be the guy, and he turned into complete afterthought. And I forgot the game. Was it Auburn or was it against Georgia, where this dude, it was at least 1 or 2 plays where he looked faster than most people on the field, and I was very surprised when I saw it happen.
I can't remember which game.
But you remember seeing the highlight I'm talking about, where he's streaking down. It was just like, whoa, what's going on here? Where did this come from? Because I think he caught it in the flat and just went up the sideline.
All right, this is interesting because I do not have Cameron Latu in my top 5. So we're off to a good start.
All right, who's your number 4 guy?
This is all good for the people because now they get to hear about more tight end prospects. So this is good for everybody. My number 4 is also from the University of Utah. It is Dalton Kincaid. He is the second half of one of the best tight end duos in the nation. Listed at 6'4". I said one of the best. So we can debate. But 6'4", 240. He transferred from San Diego State to Utah. He is reliable as a pass catcher, and that's all thanks to his background as a wide receiver. He's got strong hands. He is a threat down the seam. In his career, he has 0 drops on 72 catchable balls. So he's a guy who can play in line or in the slots. If you want him to stay in line, you're going to need to put a little bit of weight on him. But if the team that drafts him plans to play him out of the slot and use him more in the receiver role, then he's good where he's at. But something you want to keep an eye on, just like Brant Keithy, blocking. Does he become proactive and does he add weight on to help aid in that blocking, or does he continue playing as is? So that's my number 4. Do you have Dalton Kincaid in your top 5? So the people are getting at least 7 different prospects, assuming we have the same top 3. All right. And I don't think we do. Who's in your top 3? Or who is your number 3? Sorry, don't say the top 3. Who's your 3?
Un momento, por favor. There we go. I am back. So, for those people who couldn't hear me, Dalton Kincaid is not in my top 5. So there's that. Or my top 3. Obviously wouldn't be in my top 5 because you already know 2 of my guys. So it's going to be very interesting here. My number 3 guy is Sam Laporta out of Iowa. Now, I understand, not elite size or speed or whatnot, but the guy is probably the best route runner of the tight ends in this class. He's very fluid. He's always open. He's got great hands. I mean, I don't care if he's just the fastest guy in the field if he's always open. He plays tight end. You don't have to be the steam stretcher to play tight end. If you're giving me first downs, I'm liking you as a player.
All right. I also have Sam Laporta in my top 5.
At number 3?
But not yet.
Oh,
not yet.
Oh, he's higher on him. Look at
He
that.
is. I know.
All right, let's hear your number 3 guy. If it's not a certain guy I'm thinking of, shame on you, sir. Shame on you.
Ooh. All right. Well, my number 3 is Jaheim Bell from
Shame
South
on you,
Carolina.
Sir. Shame on you, sir.
We'll get to that.
Shame on you, sir.
And you better not have him number 1.
No.
But
We
Jaheim.
already know who both of us have at number 1, so stop it.
Good. Jaheim Bell is another prospect on the smaller side for a tight end. 6'3", 230, but I wouldn't put more weight on him. Keep him as he is because you can't expect him to be the pure inline tight end. He's not going to be that traditional role. He has the athleticism and he has the versatility to play multiple positions where it could be tight ends. You can put him in fullback. You can play him in the slot as wide receiver. He's got good route running. He's got good speed, so it's going to make it easier for him to get separation. He's got excellent hands. Like Isaiah Likely last year, and this is the second Isaiah Likely-like person in my top 5, he's a big play waiting to happen. He can get you yards after the catch. So he gives off those Isaiah Likely vibes, and I really liked Likely last year, if you couldn't tell. And keep this in mind. He played pretty well last year when South Carolina was forced to start a graduate assistant at quarterback. And now he gets Spencer Rattler. So I'm looking for a big season from Jaheim Bell.
All right. So it's okay for Cat Day to be wrong because he had the wrong duo in his list. My number 2 guy is Eric Gilbert. The University of Georgia, the second half of the best tight end duo in college football.
Yeah, Georgia has like the best tight end trio in football. I'll give you that one. I'll give you trio when you throw Brock Bowers in there. Trio.
I mean, Brock Bowers can't be on our list this year.
Not this year. We'll continue debating later on about which school has a better duo.
Now, you said big play waiting to happen. Well, there's a big play. I mean, this guy's probably the biggest freak at the position. Again, yes, just like his teammate, he is raw. So yes, I'm betting on the athleticism, ridiculous athleticism. Let's be honest here. Kyle Pitts, I'm not comparing him to Kyle Pitts, but when Kyle Pitts burst on the scene, people are like, oh, well, yada, 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 and then Kyle Pitts went off. This guy can have a Kyle Pitts type season. We'll be talking about him differently because, yes, is his blocking much to be desired? It is, but that's not what you're asking this guy to do. Yes, are his routes? I get it. He's raw. But if he the man with the ball in his hands is a freak and could be a big play, a touchdown waiting to happen at any time.
He is not in my top 5.
I know, which is a travesty.
Travesty. Oh, man. Eric Gilbert, it all depends what is your tolerance for risk because he is such a wild card. You are right. He has got the athleticism and he's got the ability to shoot all the way up to tight end number 1 in this class. But the last time that we saw him was 2019 as a true freshman, and he played well. He came highly recruited out of high school. He transferred from LSU to Georgia ahead of last season, but he ended up sitting out the whole season due to personal reasons. We're not sure what that is. In January...
He played in 2020. He played in 2020.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
I thought he...
Yes.
Okay, but he didn't play last season with Georgia.
No,
he didn't play 2021.
No,
so we did see him a little bit more recently.
Yes, yeah, because his best game was 97 yards and a touchdown against Missouri.
Fast forward to 2022. in January, he was weighing upwards of 300 pounds. 300 pounds for a tight end. He was able to get down to the 265, 270 range for Georgia's spring game, so there was some progress there.
We'll see what happens.
He's going to need to stay on the field this season to show that because he's competing against a stacked tight end room in Georgia. Brock Bowers, who's going to be our tight end number 1 next year, so spoiler alerts. Darnell Washington, that we were just talking about before.
Who's basically our Jeremy Rucker this year.
He is one of the highest tight ends recruits in history, and we know the potential is there for him. He just needs to stay on the field to unlock it. Yep. That's what it comes down to. And right now with my top 5, I'm like, nope, too risky. Maybe I'll feel differently at the end of the season.
My way I go is not for the faint of heart.
No risk it, no biscuits.
Exactly. All right, let's get to number 1.
Well, I have my number 2 guy to go through real quick. Yeah.
Number 2.
So you talked about him before. From Iowa is Sam Laporta. 6'4", 250. Iowa does a good job at developing the tight end prospects, and I expect Laporta to be the next one to take his talents to Sundays. He's got good speed for the position, and he's able to use it to create separation, which makes it hard to defend him. He's got good movement thanks to his wide receiver background. Something to keep an eye on, though, concentration and drops. He has the stat was 8 drops on 88 catchable balls. So it's about 9%, a little bit over 9% are drops. So helps fix that. Could be looking better, but I have confidence in Iowa to help him develop. So go ahead, tell us who's number 1 on both of our lists.
It is Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. And I mean, the guy is just, if you look at him, he is the perfect fit of a tight end. 6'5", 251, guy can block. He's a very good route runner, has good speed, is very cunning with how he plays at the position. Got a little bit of that Jason Witten to him, and how with his little bit of savvy there, you know. Apparently, you know, he's smart, which some people would debate about Notre Dame. I don't. I hear Notre Dame's a smart school, but you ask my Ohio State buddies, they say no.
Similar to running back, we can argue 2 through 5. We can argue tight ends 2 through 5 all we want. But what we're not going to argue is who's number 1. This is unquestioned. If he were able to enter the draft last year, this 2022 draft, he would have been tight end number 1 over Trey McBride. He's a threat in the passing game due to his ability to gain separation at any point with his route running, but he also offers something that Trey McBride and even Kyle Pitts before him couldn't offer, and that's the blocking ability. And that's what makes him more of that unicorn for me, is that he's among the best blocking tight ends in this class. So Michael Mayer, that's a tight end prospect to be excited in the early rounds. I expect him to see him go off the board in round 1.
All right, I do too. But all right, next up, now we probably are going to debate number 1. Let's go to the offensive tackles, and we're going to start with you. Who is your number 5?
All right, before we get into the class, how do you feel about this tackle class compared to last year's at this point?
Similar.
You feel pretty similar?
I'm similar. It's difficult to say. I think this one has more depth, in my opinion, actually, in terms of like top depth. If I get what I mean, you get what I mean by that?
I get what you mean. For me, it was hard to see.
Like last year it's the top guy, and then it kind of not so much.
It was a little bit of see, I feel that way about the whole tackle class this year.
I
right?
know.
Because after, like, we talked about Evan Neal last year as tackle one. And then after that, everybody was like, well, this is a wide open race. And right now, I feel that this year is a wide open race for all 5 tackle spots. And it's going to be an interesting group to keep an eye on as the year progresses. I don't think there's a finished product slam dunk tackle one like Penei Sewell or even Evan Neal to begin the season. All of these guys, in my opinion, they have areas to develop, some more than others. But these guys in my top 5 are on my list because I'm basing it on projections.
Now, thinking about it again, you're right. Last year was better. I had to think about it. I'm sorry, my brain is off today. Because the top 3 were complete studs. And that's when it dropped off. Even though a lot of these guys, I mean, this tackle class could be really good.
When we look at last year, we both thought really highly of Evan Neal, and then I think you had Akamakwanu in your top 5 in the preseason, but I didn't. And I think, did either of us have Charles Cross? I can't remember, but
I did really
know
good with the tackles.
And I didn't do quite as well when it came to tackles.
Which
Like I had Evan Neal, and well, I guess there's my reason for not getting it. It's all right. But I feel like this year is all wide open. Like last year was like Evan Neal, then everybody else. This year it's like, well, everybody's got some improvements. Everybody's got something to prove. And I'm just going to get this out of the way now. When it comes to something to keep an eye on for all my top 5, it's going to be consistency. So I'm just going to say that now.
All 5 of these guys that are on my list could go in the first round.
I feel similar about my top 5. I feel they could all go in the first round. And I also feel like I could have a completely brand new top 5 when we do our ranks after the season, when we do the postseason ranks.
8 guys I'm looking at.
14. I was going through 14 tackles. It was exhausting. I went through 14. And for this year, for all of them, it's you have to build on last year and you have to put up consistent play this year. Wow. And I'm going to be really surprised if we have more than 2 or even 3 of the same prospects on the list. And I'm going to be even more surprised if we have them slotted in the same position. So,
at all. Let's see number 5.
Number 5. You're going to like him because he's Canadian.
Ooh,
6'5", 324. Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse.
Already not on my list.
Syracuse's offense is looking for a big season from Sean Tucker, and Matthew Bergeron will be a big reason why. He's going to be leading the way for Sean Tucker. Another strong season by Tucker means more teams will be looking at Bergeron. And the great thing about him, he's probably a better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. He's been starting at left tackle since the middle of the 2020 season when Syracuse suffered some injuries. And they had no reason to move him. He got in there, he played well at the spot, they just kept him there. He's got really good size, and he's got really good movement skills for his size. One thing that scouts already like about Bergeron's game is that lateral movements, where he's been described as efficient and proficient, because those are skills are going to help make sure he stays in front of the edge rusher. He's a steady performer. Don't expect him to win purely with power. You'll see him get and maintain his advantage with the hand placement and hand strength, which is something that the scouting community loves about Bergeron, because once he gets his hands on you and it's clean, it's over. He's won that rep. There's no coming back for it. But that's something to keep an eye on is consistency. Can he build on last year? And there are 2 games in the middle of October that I'm really curious to see. Because Syracuse will visit Clemson, where he'll take on Miles Murphy, who we may or may not be talking about in a few weeks.
We will.
And the following week, they host Notre Dame, where Isaiah Folksy will be coming to town, who may or may not be on our list in a few weeks. So I think in the middle of the season, those are going to be two good tests for him. So I'm really waiting for those games. And you do not have Matthew Bergeron in your top 5.
So
this is exciting. Yes.
And I don't think you have my number 5 guy in your top 5. My number 5 guy was on my list last year. He made the choice to go back to school, which I think was a smart idea. Last year he was very athletic, very raw. I believe he had switched positions a bit, so he was newer to playing tackle. And the guy I'm talking about is Zion Nelson out of Miami. He goes back to school. He could have easily been a day 2 pick last year. He could have been a second, possibly 3rd round pick. But I think going back to school, improving his craft, I think he could push himself up to the 1st round. Very athletic guy. As long as he can improve on that consistency, he could go forward. He's got good size too, 6'5", 316.
And he was named to the Outland Trophy watch list. So I believe that's the award given to best offensive lineman. So he's already on the list early in the season. Zion Nelson is not in my top 5.
I knew he wouldn't be. I knew for a fact he wouldn't be.
I don't have anybody from my list last year in my top 5. So that means no Jackson Kirklands.
Jackson Kirkland didn't make mine either.
Yeah.
All right, let's see your number 4.
Number 4, we are going to the defending champions, the Georgia Bulldogs. We have 6'4", 315-pound Broderick Jones. He's got the size, but he is raw. He only has 4 career starts under his belts.
Hold up, that's a kind of a theme for Georgia, isn't it?
That's kind of a theme for like my whole top 5 here. But
raw though. Georgia, tight ends are raw, running back raw, tackle raw,
quarterback.
No, people like that dude Stetson, whatever his name is.
Stetson Bennett. Yep. So we have Broderick Jones. He's got size. He's raw. 4 career starts, all at left tackle. For much of the past few seasons, Broderick Jones was backing up Jamari Salyer. But now he gets the starting gig, and the expectations are going to be high. There's no room for drop-off. There's no room for that learning curve. You are playing left tackle for the defending champions. Mm-hmm. He might be one of the better run-blocking tackles in this class. He has athleticism to go at that size, but his technique is going to be challenged this year. I would like to see Georgia and Alabama advance to the SEC championship game so we can see Broderick Jones versus Will Anderson, because they are not scheduled to play during the regular season. So for Broderick Jones, reps. We saw in a small sample size that he has been impressive. This is going to be his first opportunity with those consistent reps.
The SEC is not lacking for pass rushers. And I mean, just to take the cat out of the bag, my number 4 guy is Broderick Jones. So weird.
Hey, all right.
Thing. And I mean, you said everything very elegantly, so keep going.
Oh, I got nothing else for Broderick.
The one thing that you did not bring out is he is an extremely physical guy also. He's not one of these guys that's just going to be timid and let the pass rusher come to him. He's going to take it to them. He's going to take the fight. You got a little nasty to him.
That's what you like to see. That's what you want to see.
All right, number 3.
All right. Number 3.
Number 3 is the same.
Ooh, yeah, because I have a feeling we each have 3 spots left. I have a feeling we have 2 people that are the same. We'll find out if we have the same order. Mm-hmm. But number 3 here is really going to be... Okay. My number 3, from the University of Maryland's Jalen Duncan. Yeah? No? Nope. All right.
Different.
Very good. I like this. And I think that it shows some of the depth that's going to be available, not just for the tackle class, but for the tight ends, for all the other positions. So Jalen Duncan could have entered last year's draft, but he opted to return for the senior season to Maryland, which is going to be a potentially explosive offense this season. The scouting community is high on his potential, and I see why. Because returning will only be beneficial, because when you watch his tape, the good is good, but the bad is bad. Right? And I know I could have put that in a more eloquent way, so I do apologize for the simplicity of that. But just like this whole class, this whole tackle class, there's a wide range of projections. He needs that consistent tape to raise the floor, to ease some of the concerns. Raise the ceiling too, absolutely, but you gotta raise that floor. He moves well for his size. He moves so well for his size that they have no problem using him as a pulling tackle on running plays. And his athleticism allows him to stay alive in pass blocking reps when you think he's been beaten. So we just need to see more consistency this season, but there's a lot to like about him. So you don't have him as your number 3. Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is also a very good mover. He goes by the name of Anton Harrison out of the University of Oklahoma. Even though he is a junior, he has taken over 1,000 snaps at the position. He has insanely great technique. The only issue with him in terms of the NFL is he may need to put on a little bit of size, a little bit of that good muscle. He's 6'5", 309. Probably could, use to put on about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle.
Yep, not my top 5. I'm trying to see how close was he to the top 5. He was definitely in consideration. One of the things I liked is he has a lot of experience starting at left tackle.
A lot. And great technique. All right. Number 2. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure, I feel fairly confident we're the same top 2. Before we get to the top 2...
Unless you want to make somebody mad, but this is a tease.
Before we get to the top 2 and the order... who were some other tackles that were close to your top 5?
Well, give me a moment.
Yeah, and I can start first. I can go and give like 1 or 2 guys who are really close for me, because finalizing a top 5 was a lot of work. Because for me, I had Blake Freeland of BYU as like 5B.
He was up there.
Just
DeWanda
missed.
Jones of Ohio State was very, very close.
Man, he was really close for me too. 6'7", 360 pounds, and his wingspan is 7'5".
Yep. Darnell Wright at Tennessee. He's a good prospect. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that, you just can't
really
help
close.
But like, Carter Warren possibly. Like your guy there. No, you didn't put Connor Galvin in, did you?
No, not in mine. No, but really close for me was Walker Parks from Clemson. He was really close for me too. All right, so we're just giving the people some more names to keep an eye on, because we know that their team is going to be tackle needy, so we got to throw out some more names so they get excited for it. All right, so I'm going first for my number 2 guy.
Yep.
All right. We'll see if we match number 2. 6'4", 294 from Northwestern University, Peter Skoronski.
Yep.
Yes, your number.
Exactly who. A little undersized. For the position, he was what, 294?
294, yeah. Skoronski is a pretty well-rounded tackle prospect. He doesn't have the ideal heights, or no, he has the height. He doesn't have the ideal length and weight to be a left tackle in the NFL.
At the same time, who was he the understudy for? Who literally didn't have the ideal length for the NFL
Skoronski
tackle.
steps in as starting left tackle as a true freshman because Rashawn Slater had opted out of the 2020 season. And I at least had the same concerns for Rashawn Slater when we were talking about that class. Was he doesn't have the ideal size, length to be able to play tackle, but he has certainly proved me wrong, and I'm happy for that. I'm glad I was wrong there because he is definitely playing well for the Chargers.
We get to find out, at least for Northwestern, if the exception becomes the rule.
When I look at Skoronski, I think good. He seems to check the boxes as good, but he doesn't check any of the boxes as elite or excellent. And for me, given the lack of size, it's slightly concerning. And again, I don't have the greatest track record of scouting offensive line prospects, so I could be completely wrong on that, but his movement is good, his quickness is good, his athleticism is good for the size.
He'll get the chance to prove it.
All of this is going to help him stay in front of the pass rushers. He's got a physical style that you like to see in the run game. He plays until the whistle. But if he's going to stick at tackle, he's got to clean a couple things up, especially those things that will erase the size and length concerns.
He'll get a chance to prove it. He's going to play some pass rushers in the Big Ten there. He's going to get some pass rushers.
I know, but you're looking at this year's edge class, and you're thinking, man, if I could see Skoronski go one more season against Aiden Hutchinson, David Ajabo, Boye Mafe, if I could see one more game against each of those guys.
Let's see who the Big Ten is going to have some pass rushers.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I don't think it's going to be.
Do they play Notre Dame
good.
at all? I know Notre Dame's not really the Big Ten, but do they play Notre Dame? What's their schedule like?
I'm looking up Northwestern's schedule right now, so if you have anything that you want to add in about Skoronski while I look that up.
We talked about a majority of it. I'm getting that schedule too.
All right, so they have Nebraska, Duke, Southern Illinois, Miami, Ohio, Penn State, Wisconsin.
Ooh, that Penn State one. Yeah.
They have Maryland, Iowa, Ohio State, Minnesota.
State's got some rushers.
Purdue and
going to do something to them.
Illinois.
But we'll see how it goes.
I know. I want to see them go against like the guys from last year.
Well, too bad. Those guys are in the NFL.
He said too bad.
Let's get to the number one guy.
Go ahead and tell us who's number one.
Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. Him and the aforementioned DeWand burst on the scene last year, and they showed some stuff. I know Nicholas Petit-Frere was there, and he was a really good tackle. But these guys also showed up. Like, Ohio State's offensive line was disgusting, with one exception, but that's okay. Well, he's still pretty good. It's just he couldn't handle a certain Michigan pass rusher. But I'm gonna let you get elegant on this with it. Go ahead.
All right. So Paris Johnson Jr. is my number one based on projections. He's an offensive tackle who played on the interior last season because that's what the Ohio State needed from him.
And then Nicholas Petit-Frere.
And I think Thayer Mumford, yeah.
No, Thayer Mumford was on the inside also.
Yeah, DeWan Jones is playing right tackle for him.
Exactly.
And then Johnson was playing right guard next to him. And Johnson was probably Ohio State's best offensive lineman last year, which shows the versatility. Because if there's any concerns about him as a tackle prospect, he looked really good as a guard. Absolutely. He's got a great combination of size, length, and athleticism. Along with those good movement skills, I expect him to be very good when it comes to pass protection. He's a pretty good run blocker who plays with physicality. He finishes the play. Absolutely. Reps. We have to see the reps. He was a standout tackle in high school. Played right guard last year. This is going to be his first real exposure to collegiate level defensive lineman as a left tackle, because what he was doing as a guard last year was playing against the defensive tackles. He wasn't playing the edge rushers. Now, I don't have any concerns right now about him being able to match up against those edge rushers, but we just need to see it. We need to see him get back to his natural position and show us that he is the number one tackle in this class. Paris Johnson has a higher ceiling, and Peter Skoronski has a higher floor when it comes to tackle prospects.
Paris Johnson has actually, though, better athleticism, which gives him that higher floor, but also at the same time his size. Like, he's closer to, he's pretty much, maybe he could gain a little bit of weight, but he's pretty much at the size he needs to be. Skoronski needs more size. He needs to hit that weight room. Should have went to Penn State. That's all I'm saying. That Penn State weight room is undefeated. And you know it. Speaking of weight rooms, did you see? Tell me why. Tell me why Nick Chubb is squatting 650. There's no reason for that.
Was it 650 or 610?
Whatever it was.
It was some ridiculous weight where the bar looked like it was going to snap in half on his shoulders. Yeah. Oh.
And that means so dangerous.
He can carry like 2 defensive linemen with him when he's running up the ball.
He can carry half a car. or a Fiat.
Oh man, where did Nick Chubb went to Georgia too?
Yes, he did. Georgia's weight room is undefeated.
Skoronski should have gone to Georgia, but
never see the field.
That's true. They have a lot of talent there. Yep.
All right. Any words of wisdom for the people, my guy?
Oh, I had something where I forgot. So, don't forget. Yeah.
Mine gonna get real insightful on y'all. Chase your dreams. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how ridiculous it seems, unless it's impeding on the welfare of others. Shut that down. But if you have a dream that is non-evasive and non-hurtful to anyone else, just a pure dream,